Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate the mode, median, and mean for both a string of numbers and a simple frequency distribution. We'll start with a string of numbers like the one over here. And the first thing your textbook recommends is to rearrange a set of numbers from highest to lowest. To do this in Excel, we're going to select the column that contains the scores that we're interested in, and we're going to come over to the Sort and Filter button. And we're going to sort from largest to smallest, since that's what your textbook recommends, largest to smallest. And as you can see, the scores are now in order from 9 all the way down to 2. What we could do now is just calculate the mode, median, and mean the way that your textbook instructs you to do. However, Excel also has functions for calculating each of these measures of central tendency. Beginning with the mode, we're going to click where we want our mode to wind up, press the equal sign. I'm going to search for a formula, and the formula I'm going to search for is mode. And it comes up. It says returns the most frequently occurring or repetitive value in an array or range of data. So that's exactly what we want, is the mode. I'm going to select the scores I would like for it to consider, press OK. And we have a mode of 4. And if we were to look over just at our data, we could very easily see that 4 is the most frequent score, so we know we've done that correctly. Similarly, if we would like our median, we're going to press an equal sign. I'm going to look for, this time, the median. And I come up with a definition, the number in the middle of the set of a given numbers. There we go. I'm going to select my numbers, press OK, and it's telling me that the median is 5. I'm just going to do a quick look over here to see how that shakes out. Here's the number 5. There are 3 scores below and 3 scores above. So 5 is definitely the median. So far Excel is doing a great job at calculating these measures. And finally, for the mean, we're actually going to search for the word average. Average is another word for mean. And it says that it will return the average arithmetic mean of its arguments. That's a fancy way of saying it's going to get us the mean. I'm going to select my numbers, and I'm going to press OK. And it ends up giving me 5.57. Now I formulated this cell to be at 2 decimal points. I like to see the means with 2 decimal points, but as you proceed in your homework, feel free to either use decimal points or not, but I would recommend that you do. I think it gives us a little bit more of a fine-tuned look at the mean. So we had a mode of 4, a median of 5, and a mean of 5.57. So now you know there's 3 quick ways to find central tendency when scores are listed in a string of scores. But what if they're listed as a frequency distribution? That's going to be another kettle of fish. So let's take a look at this data right here. This is actually from your class survey. I asked you to respond to the question, how many children do you have? And we had a range starting with 0 children to 8 children. So quite a big range between our classmates in terms of number of children. And if you can just, let's interpret the table. 0 children, there were 11 students who had 0 children. There are 9 students who have 2 children. So what's interesting is I'm just looking at this, and 9 and 11 are pretty close. They're almost the same number, which means that this almost could look like a bimodal distribution, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. So let's look at the mode, median, and mean. Now the mode is actually pretty easy to find out, even in a frequency distribution such as this, because I'm just going to look for the most frequent, and we've already talked about that. The most frequent score is 0. So 0 is going to be our mode. So I'm going to press 0 right there. And now if I want to see how I got the mode, I can click and see I got it from A10. So the mode is not 11. 11 is the frequency, but the mode is the most frequently occurring score, and in this case it's a 0. Okay. So mode was pretty easy. For the median, the first thing we need to do is find the position of the median score, or where we're going to be able to locate the median score. The formula for the position of the median can be seen right over here, n plus 1 over 2. And so we're going to do that calculation to see where our median position is going to be. So I'm going to do an equal sign. And the total number that we have is 31 plus 1 over the number 2. Now, if you'll notice, I did put 31 plus 1 in parentheses. And if you'll remember from your order of operations, we want to make sure that Excel adds these together before dividing it by 2. Order of operations, if you remember the mnemonic, my dear Aunt Sally, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we don't want Excel to divide 1 by 2. So we separated out 31 plus 1 in parentheses. Okay, let's see what we got. And we have 16. So 16 is going to be where we're going to locate our median, at the 16th score in the distribution. However, if I try to figure out which is the 16th score, it's a little hard with just a frequency column. So I'm going to create a cumulative frequency column like we've done in the past. I'm going to do this just very quickly. All right, and I know that my cumulative frequency column is correct because my top number is equal to my total n. And now we can look over and I can see that any score from 16 to 24 is going to correspond with the score of 2. And so our median is going to actually be 2. If it was a median of 1, it would be any score 15 or below. But our position of our median was 16, and so it is going to be the median of 2. And finally, we're going to calculate the mean in this frequency distribution. In order to calculate the mean for a simple frequency distribution, we're going to be using this formula right here. Let me just talk about the different parts of this formula. X bar means the mean is equal to the Greek capital sigma means sum. So anything after this sigma, we're going to sum up the frequency of the scores times the scores themselves over the number of responses. And so we can do this. We can just plug in the values very easily using Excel. But one thing I don't have is this frequency times the score. And I can easily do that here by creating an FX column. Frequency times the score. All right. So I am going to do equals. And I'm going to do 8 times the next column and hit return. And 8 times 1 is 8. I know that already. I'm going to pull down. All right. And let's just do a couple different checks. 7 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 1 is 1. So what we've done is we've multiplied the frequency by the score to come up with this frequency times score. But we need to sigma, we need to add this all up now. So I'm going to do a sum very quickly. Oh dear. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Okay, and so I know that my frequencies times my score gives me 53. So now when I go back to my formula, I know my numerator is going to be 53 and my denominator is going to be 31. So I'm going to plug that in. And that gave us a mean of 1.71. And again, I formatted this to have 2 decimal points, but that is our mean, 1.71. Now, as I look at the mode, the median, and the mean, I'm noticing that they're not equal. And so that lets me know there's at least some skewness in the distribution. So out of curiosity, I'd really like to see what this distribution looks like. So I'm going to create a frequency polygon to get a better look. Now, if you'll recall from our last lesson, I'm going to highlight the scores and their frequencies. I'm going to go to a scatter with straight lines and markers, and I'm going to click OK. And so this gives me an idea of the shape of this distribution. It looks to be positively skewed, number one. And number two, here's where it looks like it's bimodal. We have two peaks actually in this distribution. So most of the scores cluster sort of at the bottom end and trickle down as the numbers get bigger, positively skewed. And we seem to have two modes, although they're not exactly equal modes, which I find very interesting. Because this distribution is almost bimodal with outliers as well, it does create a very different display, and most likely you won't see anything like this in your practice problems this week. So now you know how to find measures of central tendency, mode, median, and mean, whether you're given a string of raw numbers or a set of numbers organized in a frequency distribution. And some more practice will help you to solidify your knowledge, so go ahead and dive in with the assignment and the quiz. And please, by all means, let me know if you have questions on the discussion board.